Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is, wherever you are. This is Gail of Gaia, and this is Free Range, where we. Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever time it is. Whoa, why am I getting this twice? Oh my goodness. Okay. I'm sorry about that. I don't know. I just shut it down though. So anyway, let's try that again. Good morning, everyone. Welcome. Always having little glitches here lately, but anyway, I have a wonderful guest for you today, and she is a spiritual teacher and an author and a Reiki master, and she has all kinds of training and background, and she's also an expert on because she went through it, the mind control and things of that nature. So let me bring on Salini, and she can even explain more about her background and herself as much as she would like to share. Welcome.
Hi.
Hi. I'm
How
so
you
happy
doing,
and
Gail?
honored to have you on.
Thank
I've read about, I looked at your wonderful website, and all the information about you is in the description here. So any of the listeners that want to look you up, they are free to do so. It's all the information's there. So, why don't you go ahead and tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we'll go into some of the information that we talked about you sharing. Is that okay?
Sure.
Okay.
So, well, a lot of people have heard my story, so I'll try not to be too long-winded. Um, I think you know my story, but I'll just briefly sum it up, and that is that
Yeah, that would be good. Yeah.
I am a survivor of MK Ultra, mind control, trauma-based mind control, and sex slavery. My father was a Mason and took me through myself and my siblings into the MK Ultra program. And from there, I was taken into the beta sex kitten program. And the goal was to train me to be a sex slave. And God knows to how much further that would have gone. But my father was not really mentally stable. So I don't think he was really interested in going into the big deep state stuff. So he was just sort of a little guy that wanted a lot of money and power. And so I never got sold or anything, but I did have to go through the MK Ultra program. And of course, that was very traumatic, and that set the stage for the next part, the whole rest of my life. So
Wow.
that was part of my childhood. The other part of my childhood was my mother was a Reiki master, and she was a student of Mrs. Takata, Hawayo Takata, who is and was the Grandmaster of Reiki all over the world. And she brought Mrs. Takata to the United States, and she stayed with us and began teaching me Reiki when I was 9 years old. So as a
Wow.
result of that initiation and mentorship, she healed me through hundreds of treatments. I learned how to do mental healings, emotional healings, spiritual healings, mind control healings, everything. And she worked on me for many, many years. And I believe that that is what saved my life, because she stayed with our family several times a year. And so as a result of, I had a dual initiation, Gail, into the dark and into the light. And
Wow.
so I got a chance to see what the bad guys are doing. It's like, oh, this is how you guys do it. And of course, I'm just a little girl, but my higher self is absorbing the information. And I think that there's a reason why we're born into these dark lineages, and that is to purify them and to heal them. So my father and that side of the family comes from the Roman lineage, the emperors of Rome, and who were trained by the Anunnaki. And so they were
Okay.
infiltrated by the Anunnaki, who Anunnaki were mind control specialists. So they mind controlled the
Yeah, I bet. Okay. Hmm.
they mind controlled the Romans, and then the Romans carried that out to humanity because they created the civilization that we live in. Prior to the Romans, there was just pagans and indigenous people. So when the Romans brought Christianity, or whatever they called Christianity, out into the world, they also brought, what most people don't know, the Romans also brought mind control. And that mind
No.
control was instituted by the Anunnaki. So the Anunnaki represented the many alien races that control us. And So I got to go through that. I went through that, and I got to see from the inside what it looks like. But fortunately, I was given the tool to break it. So I am a deprogrammer of mind control, and I am a deprogrammer of people who've been through this enslavement. And as a result, I have an important role to play in the liberation of this planet because people are about to be deprogrammed. We're about to go through a global deprogramming, and that's what my next book is about, is how to
I
get.
just got goosebumps all over me verifying what you're saying. I mean, the entire body. Okay. So
So
keep going, please.
that's
I'm
your confirmation, is the body goosebumps.
okay. Keep
Yeah.
going, though. Continue,
Okay.
please.
Well, that's what's happening. I deprogram myself. I mean, Mrs. Takata helped me, and then I didn't have all my memories until much later. After I became a Reiki master, I was strong enough to face what had happened to me. And so we're talking about many, many years of sexual trauma, violence, mind control, all of that. I couldn't handle that when I was 15. But when I was 40, I went through all the memories. And that triggered off a massive spiritual awakening. And that spiritual awakening led me to my divine mission, which is a combination of truth speaking, spiritual teaching, healing humanity, writing this book right here. Uh, this is my book, healing, emerging from the matrix, healing human trauma and ending global enslavement. And this is a manual for waking up, folks, and for healing and deprogramming yourself. In the back, there's 22 steps to how to heal and deprogram yourself and wake up.
Well,
So,
could you? Okay,
go ahead.
I didn't mean. I was just going to ask. Could you give us just a couple little um, tidbits about, if there's 22, just like a couple of
Sure.
them, that just to get an idea of what's all involved
Yeah.
for
Well, one of the most
deprogramming.
Yeah, well, one of the most important things you have to do is to change your thinking from negative to positive. Because what happens with, and I'm not saying people should never talk about the truth or anything, that's different. But what happens with the mental programming that was instituted here by the Luciferians and the aliens is that it's reverse thinking, and to reverse your thinking so that everything is dark and negative. And once they do that, they lower your vibration. They can control you through mental frequencies and energetic frequencies. So what I have people do is to work on their worst mental obsessions,
Mhm.
like I'm too fat, or no one will ever love me, or I'm just a screw up, I mess up all the time. And then we
Mhm.
work on reprogramming it and rephrasing it. And I get a lot of deprogramming done just that way. So that's one. Another one is that you have to completely purify yourself. You have to purify your diet, your food, your thinking, your emotions, your life. This is not a time to be eating a lot of meat or drinking or smoking or even coffee. Everything's poisoned right now. I hate to say it, but they just want us off the planet. So the meats have been poisoned unless you get it locally from a farmer or something. And processed foods are not good for you. Smoking, drinking, all of that brings spirits possessions to you. So even plant medicine brings spirit possession to you. So a lot of people are going to have to go through a tremendous amount of purification, and then you are more capable of receiving divine messages from above and receiving the energy from the Holy Spirit.
Hmm.
Then,
So purifying, when you're speaking of that, it's not just what you eat, but it's what you drink, what you think, um, all just all of the above. Drink, think, eat. There's more. Breathe. They didn't miss anything. and
yeah, well, this is a time of instant manifestation, Gail. So if people are constantly saying things like, I never have any luck, or I never make any money, or everything always messes up for me, or whatever it is, that you're just going to keep creating that. And I know that sounds simplistic, but it's actually true. And I started
especially
saying
now, right?
that, yeah.
Es-
Hmm.
because it's manifesting quicker than it ever has before, and our
Right.
thoughts are manifesting quicker than they ever have before. I have to stop myself when I get negative thoughts. I really do, because I get them just like anybody else, and I try to. And certain things have a tendency to trigger me, because I get concerned about it. But anyway, it's a real challenge. How do you perceive that happening? Like, if the all of humanity is going to go through a deprogramming, how do you see that picture? How do you see that?
I see it as being very shocking for people. And it's going to happen. We just happen to be together on tonight because we talked a little bit last week about this in our roundtable. So there's going to be an event that's going to take place very soon, and I think possibly, I hate giving dates, and I really hate
Well, you don't have to give a date, but soon.
well, in this case I kind of do, because
Oh, okay.
because of the planetary alignment on Halloween night is the worst alignment for all of this year. It's Mars going into explosive Uranus, and there's really only one way to say it, and that's war. That alignment always means war. It's like something like 9/11 or the bombs dropping on Hiroshima or things like that, happen with those kinds of alignments. And I do think
Wow.
something's going to happen this coming week. And I don't know
I
if it's
do
going to
too.
happen Halloween night or the next day or whatever, but something's going to happen. And I'm just hoping it's not too big a tragedy. But the point is that when we have things like that happen, it's an awakening event. Like 9/11, as horrible as it was the beginning of an awakening for a lot of people. And they started questioning reality when they tell you that there's a plane that goes through the building and comes out on the other side. I mean, come on. It took everybody a while to figure it out. There was never even any plane there.
Mm-hmm.
That's the new thing that people are finally accepting. That was a CGI. There was never any plane. There was no wreckage found.
Mm-hmm.
And no plane is going to go through. There were no bodies or anything, from the plane. No
Right.
planes can go through a steel building
And,
and come out
and
whole. On the
yeah,
other
and there were military guys who knew demolition type bombing and so on, and said, "No way, that's controlled demolition. There's no way that anything would go down like that without that type of setup." So,
that was
and
an early deprogramming for a lot of people.
yeah, wow. To start looking and taking a closer look. We forgot how to be critical thinkers. We just kind of went along with everything as if it was
Yeah.
okay without ever looking into it. And that's been led to this terrible situation that we're in right now. Really.
Yeah, it really has. And, when I went to college, I wanted to go to an alternative college. So the college I went to had no grades, and we did Socratic dialogues. I don't know if you're familiar with that, where you sit in, the way Socrates taught was that you sit in concentric circles, and the people on the inside start the dialogue, and then the people on the outside join in, and everybody gets a chance to share their opinion. And there's no
Oh,
right.
wow. No, I've never done that. That sounds like fun.
Yeah, it's ancient technique for dialoguing so that everybody is equally represented. And that's how I went to college, and so I was always a very fair person anyway. But when you go through something like that, you realize that everybody should have a voice. And
Yes.
and everybody should, and it emphasized critical thinking. We were required to think critically. It was like part of the assignment. And so I'm always thinking critically. And so when this came on, and I'm a writer anyway, so when all this craziness with the fake, what came on, I'm just like, wait a minute, and I was able to break it down, and that it was a fake situation, without getting into words that may not be okay. But even the same thing happened with our President T. When he first got there, it was like, why is he here? I was like, I couldn't imagine that he would be our next president. But then when you start critically thinking and looking at his executive orders, you begin to understand why he's there, is to take down the cabal. So deprogramming is a process that you have to break through people's dogmatic beliefs, and you have to break through their trauma. And that gets back to 9/11. Let me just say that our entire world is in a traumatic trance. That's what I call it.
Yeah.
We got traumatized, for those people who were alive, by the murder of President Kennedy. And I was
Yes.
old enough. I was watched it on TV,
I
and
remember, I specifically remember I was in, showing how old I am. I was in grade school at the time, and I remember the teacher came in crying. I'll never forget it. I
the
remember
same
what she was
thing.
wearing. I can see a picture of it all still. Yeah.
Same here. Our teacher came in and told us the president was dead and sent us all home. And I was just like, it's hard to believe. We were kids, so it was really hard to really grasp what was going on.
Yeah.
But the thing is, over the years, you realize that this is part of a trauma ritual. And this particular ritual is called the killing of a king. And they do that to traumatize an entire nation and an entire world, that we have power over you, so much so that we can kill your king. And this trauma remains in the psyche, especially of the American people, and has caused us to be very entranced. So when people become traumatically entranced, you can't see any new truth. They're stuck in their trauma. And so what happens is you have to break the trauma, and that, I mean, the trance, and that happens through truth, bringing truth. So a perfect example is, I knew I could do it when the man who killed JFK showed up in my office for treatment. And that was a shocking event for me, because didn't know that I was capable of deprogramming until I worked on him. So he had come into my office for alcoholism, and I was giving him therapy for that, when part of our treatment program was truth serum. So he had his truth serum treatment, but nothing came out. He didn't say anything. And no one has ever received a truth serum treatment without telling the truth. Let me tell you, it's strong stuff. And he
Wow.
didn't say anything. And I said to him, your replies indicate to me that you might have been mind controlled. Is it possible? He said, yes, it's possible. And up to that point, he had just told me he was in the military. But I said to him, are you interested in being deprogrammed? And he said, yes, because he said, my marriage is on the line. I love my wife. And she said, if I don't get sober, that she's not going to stay. So I offered him my Reiki mind deprogramming mind treatment, and he accepted. And that's what happened is I gave him that treatment, and then the next day he was at my door saying, I remember everything now. And so we sat down and we went through everything, and he said to me, I know who I really am, and I'm ready to tell you. So he started to tell me that he was a CIA hitman, and that he had been all throughout the 60s. And he said, are you aware of the assassinations that occurred in the 60s? And I said, of course. And he said, well, that was me. And I said, what are you talking about? And I said, are we talking about what I think we're talking about? And Kennedy? And he said, yes, I'm the man on the grassy knoll. And so he outlined everything that happened, and it wasn't what's his name, Lee Harvey Oswald.
I
And he
didn't think
told
it
me
was.
how they set it up, and how they took him to the grassy knoll, and they don't tell him until just before he has to kill whoever it is he's going to kill. He was the hitman on his squad. It's called the Caucasian Squad. And as a result of my Reiki treatments, he unraveled the memories of that day. And so I asked him, I said, why didn't they just kill you afterwards? And he said, because I had garnered a lot of favors from the guys at the top. I had done a lot of kills for the men at the top, which of course are the presidents and all those people. And he said, they told me that if I would go through a mind control treatment program, that they would let me live. So he agreed, and he went into a 6 months trauma-based mind control program in a deep underground military base, where he was then given LSD and trauma mind controlled with trauma. And his mind was erased. And he said when it was over, he didn't remember much of anything. And they let him go, and that was the end of it until he came to my office. And I released the memories for him, and he outlined everything he'd ever done in the CIA and told me everything. And that, of course, I could never tell until after he passed away. But that's what the first time I knew that I could deprogram someone. It worked, and I'm like, wow, this really works. So I've used it on other people, and it helps people release their trauma. And when you release your trauma, you're then ready to wake up because you start to see the truth. So, it was very difficult for me as a child to face the fact that I'm being traumatized as a child because I had to live there for the next 18 years, Until I was able to leave the house and get real healing, I couldn't deprogram myself. So it wasn't until I was old enough to be able to face it that I was able to go through that.
What? I mean, this might sound stupid, but what were you programmed to do? I mean, within reason that we could. I mean,
I was programmed to be very sexual, and I was a child. I'm just from 0 to 5, I'm supposed to have sex with men that are 60 years old. So it's sex trafficking children. It's child sex slavery. So I was forced to be with male, as a sex slave to Masons. And I was programmed to be a human computer. So I went through mental programming to make me mentally very strong. And so that program is the Evelyn Woods speed reading. It's actually a mind control program. I don't know if they're still in business or not.
Wow, I didn't know it was mind control, but wow.
Yeah, all of us there was a large group of us youngsters that went together with their fathers where we were mind controlled together there at the Evelyn Woods speed reading in California.
Wow.
Mhm.
It is now during this trauma-based mind control, they actually do torturous things to you or to the person or the child or whatever. I don't think people realize how horrific it really is. And
This is why there's
just,
so few of us who survived and why my work is so important. Go ahead. You
yes.
want to ask a question?
What was that?
Do you have a question?
Yes, I have some questions in the chat I think are coming up. Are you talking? They're asking if you're talking about your childhood.
Yes, of course. I was an MK Ultra. And
So
so
when they do that to you, do they hook you up and wire up at various times or anything of that nature?
what they really do is they traumatize you and they speak into your ear a certain programming while they are traumatizing you so that your brain splits and your
Okay.
ability to absorb what they're telling you is increased because your brain is not protected by normal daily responses. So when you're traumatized, it splits your consciousness to the point where they create an altar in you that contains the memories of your trauma, and that can be triggered by whatever the keywords are that they have given you during the trauma. So, in my case, when you're a sex kitten, you're supposed to be, very sensual, and then on the other part, you'd be a human computer. And so that I could read this book. I was taught how to speed read. This book is 542 pages, my book.
Mhm.
I could read this in 10 minutes. So,
Oh my word! Really? Wow! I wish
yeah,
I
they
could do
teach
that.
you all that stuff. I mean, I don't do that anymore, but back then they taught me, like, I was able to go through school hardly reading anything and I still got really good grades because I was being mind controlled, that occurred all the way until I was 18. The the sex slavery stopped as in before 10. It goes up to a certain age. And then they do the mind
What are
control.
you too old after 10?
Oh yeah, yeah, they don't want
Oh
any.
my god! Oh,
Mhm.
these people are so sick.
They
I
just
can't
want
believe it.
children. Yeah, they just want children. And so that's, my purpose today was not really to go into my story, but it's talking. You asked me about deprogramming. It's all in here. I put it in here, and it's in my work, like on my website, which
Hmm.
is
Hmm.
up here on the screen. I have a deprogramming program. I have a mind control deprogramming program. I see people privately for that, and I'm here to tell you guys there are millions of people who went through MK Ultra. I was just one. There was somewhere between 30 to 50 million children in my age group in the 50s and 60s that were mind controlled. And let me tell you why. What are we going through right now with the scamdemic? Guess how they got everybody to go along with that? I mean, ever sit down and think, like, how come everybody agreed to it? Why did the hospitals and the airports and the
Yeah,
schools,
yeah. That is.
everybody like, oh, okay, let's do it,
Yeah, we'll just do it. Yeah.
And I was always like, I'm not going to do that, because I'd already been deprogrammed.
Mhm.
So,
Yeah, I never did any of it.
what happens to people is there's at least 50 million people who now our age who were programmed with end times programming to be robot slaves for the deep state for this moment in global history, so that they would just like boom, a key word was spoken, like, I don't know, Corona or V, whatever word they use, which triggered off everybody. Maybe the face of Anthony, you know who,
Yeah.
there's always a trigger
Yes.
to trigger people's trauma programming. So there's some trauma programming that got all those people that got end times programming all over the world in the program. It comes through the CIA to then click in to the scamdemic and to do what they're told. It's an end
How do
times
they do
program
that to so many people? Are
because the
they
children
do
are
they
being
kidnap?
stolen.
Pardon?
Yes. The
They
children
kidnap
are
them.
being taken and stolen. And, it happened to a lot of us in the 50s because our fathers were in the military. My father was in the military. And because the Masons are everywhere, the Masons are in the police department and they're all mind
Yeah.
controlling children. I mean, let me just give you, if you think it's done, it's still going on. I mean, it's going to stop real quick because we're about to stop it. But I just moved from California to Florida because I couldn't be there anymore. It's so dark, you
I
know.
bet. I can see that. Yeah.
And that's where I was abused. And so finally what happened is my house burned down in the fire and I had to leave. So when just before I moved to Florida, it would have been just a year ago. It was like October of, let's see, we left in October. We drove out here October of 2021. It was like the last couple days before I left. I decided to get a massage, and I'm not going to tell you where I went, but I got a massage, and the person who was working on me was very tense and very rough, and I had to stop her and say, can you just slow down a little bit? And it was really hard for her to do that. So finally, I just stopped the massage and I said, something's wrong. I can tell you're really tense. And I normally would never say this to a masseuse, but
Mhm.
I said, I need to let you know that I'm a trauma-based sex slavery survivor, and I don't want a rough massage. I need to be gently massaged. And she stopped dead in her tracks and just stared at me and started to cry. And she said, well, then we have something in common because I'm being sexually trafficked right now. And I was like, what can I do for you? I said, can I take you somewhere? Should we call the police? And she said, no, I'm being sexually trafficked to the chief of police of this town.
Ah, oh my God.
So that tells you how
That's
prevalent
what we're
this.
dealing with.
Now, I'm not going to tell you where that happened because I don't want her to
Yeah,
get
that's
in
okay.
trouble.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
That's perfectly understandable. No need to. It's just the very idea of it that there we have again people that most people think could be trusted and are good
and I asked her, I
citizens
said,
and all
can I
that.
get your parents? Can we go somewhere? And she said, everybody around me is involved in the sex trafficking here. And she said, all I can do is go home to the house where I have to live with the sex traffickers. And that just burned into my brain that when we are done, I'm going to go back and find that girl and offer her a job, running a safe house for sexual traffic victims. Because I'm here to tell you right now, the reason why there's so many of us is there's no safe place to go. And there's no safe person to go to. And I'm one of those people, but I don't have $1 million on a safe house, What needs to happen and what's going to happen, what's about to happen, Gail, is the end of this whole program of sex trafficking. It's about to go down the tubes. And we're going to see something major happen on this planet within the next month. And I believe likely this coming week, prior to the election, because the planets are lined up. Everything's lined up. It's not me talking intel. It's me saying planetary are lined up. But on top of that, I must have had 10 reports this week, messages from heaven, messages from above, that this is it. And when this is it, all these traffickers will be history. And when our abundance comes, there will be safe houses for all of you sexually trafficked children and adults, and your suffering is over. And I'm here to tell you that Mr. T has rescued thousands and thousands and thousands of children. And guess who else is rescuing children? Mr. P, the president of a country over there who is
that everybody's bad mouthing now.
Yeah, and you guys have got it wrong. Anybody who thinks that. No, Mr. P is going to save us from the sex traffickers. This is written in history. It's already prophesied. Edgar Cayce prophesied it in the 40s that Russia would save the world.
Yes, it is. Cayce said that, didn't he?
Yes,
Edgar
he did.
Cayce. Yeah.
They have to, because they have nuclear weapons lined up along the border there. NATO does, to attack them. He's had to do this. He's taking out the labs. He's taking out the sex trafficking. He's taking out the money laundering. This has to happen, folks. Don't be afraid. Don't be mad at me. This is part of the awakening. It's all part of the awakening, and it's coming. And so, you heard me talk last week, and you want me to talk about what's going on. Well, what's going on is that moment has arrived, Gail. I think it's going to happen before
this week.
Thanksgiving.
I mean,
yeah, I think it's next week.
I hate to say that too, but it's very close. It's very close.
Are you feeling it?
Yes, I am.
What are you feeling?
It's an anticipation, or like something's going to happen. I don't know how to put it, but it's that's And when people say certain things, I just get the chills, and that's
you got the chills when I talked.
Yes, but when you say different things, so that is to me, that speaks to me when that happens. You have also you have knowledge of. I know it's not your area of expertise per se, but you have had a lot of training and background in Vedic astrology, correct?
Yeah, I'm not a Vedic astrologer, but I study it.
Yes,
a Vedic astrologer, it's like a 25, 30-year study. It's very complicated, but I do study it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's where I'm here to tell you, right now, that's what I talked about on Friday, is that on last Saturday, Saturn went direct. This is Vedic astrologer right now, went direct in Capricorn at 24 degrees. And when that happened, it's the end of the matrix. It's the end of the patriarchal system. So Saturn is the planet of hard lessons. It's the father. So when you have a lot of Saturn, which I do, it rules Aquarius. I'm an Aquarius. In Western, I'm Aquarius. In Vedic, I'm a Capricorn. But Saturn rules us both. So I'm actually still an Aquarius because I have 5 planets in Aquarius, including my moon. And so what that means is that the Saturn moves through my chart. It moves through everybody's life with hard lessons. Boom, 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 boom. And the structure of this country was founded, it was a Capricorn basis, which is the patriarchy, because Capricorn is also the sign of the father, the one that pays the bills and gets you a house and make sure your lives are structured and takes care of the kids and all that. That's the father energy. So we've had a father structure in this planet since 1776. And, the founding fathers and all that. Well, what about the founding mothers? There were some founding mothers there too, And what about
They never did count, did they?
yeah. What about Jesus's, we're gonna have to have another show to talk about Jesus's 13 female disciples. Guess what? There were just as many or more female disciples, but no, we don't want to talk about that.
Oh, I
So
would love to have you on so we could talk about that. I would love to talk about that.
someday we will.
Because
But
I've always, been an advocate for Mary Magdalene too, because they always try to make her a prostitute, and she wasn't.
no, she was a noble woman and she paid for everything for those guys. So it's easy. You know how men like to say that she's, we're gonna sleep with her. They all say that. It's just it's so disrespectful. Jesus certainly didn't say that about her. But
No.
back to the founding fathers. So what happened back then was that our nation was founded with a very bad alignment. Actually, it was Hades, which is the underworld, hell. And it all happened under Capricorn. And so we've been going along with this dark Masonic patriarchal system for a long time. I mean, look, when they had the Declaration of Independence, it didn't say all people are created equal. It said all men are created equal. That didn't cover Black men and women. It didn't cover women, white women, and it didn't cover Native Americans. It was only white men that are created equal. And there were all these Masonic laws that were put into place at that time. So those laws were put in place to keep white men in power. And so there's been a system that's been Masonic. And that what I know about Masons, because I watched my father do it, is they don't share their money. It's all about, we give money to other Masons only. And whenever there's an opportunity, you only work with other Masons. So people who are outside of that system are never allowed to make any money. And I experienced that in this lifetime. So what's happening now, this is really cool, November 8th. Now this is actually Western again, Western astrology. On November 8th, which is the midterm election, there is a Pleiadian blood moon lunar eclipse. And that eclipse is actually a Pleiadian alignment. And it is the exact same alignment that was in the sky when Donald Trump defeated who, Hillary Clinton, and nobody thought he would. And so guess what? That exact same alignment is in the sky on November 8th. I believe that we're going to see a shocking election that day that is going to throw out the bad guys and bring in patriots, they can be Democrats, but people who care about America, people who care about freedom again, people who believe in the Constitution, people who maybe we can have free speech again where we're not all censored.
Yeah, where we don't have to be so careful about everything that we say, because they might take our whole channel down if they.
Well, they did. They deleted my channel last week.
Yes.
That's why you got me on.
And that's amazing that they did that to you, because I'm just surprised, because you're a spiritual
I'm not
teacher,
even the
Rosie.
most controversial person out there.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's surprising. But I'd be happy to have you on again.
Thank you. But I'll tell you why.
They won't keep us down.
No. And it's because we are divine feminine power warriors. We are the alpha females that are here to heal this planet. And we're not interested in suppressing men. We're not interested in revenge. We're interested in balancing out the energy so that this planet will finally heal. And so, they have to remove us. So that's one aspect that's coming. The other aspect, and this is the Vedic part, is Mars going into Uranus on October 31st, Halloween, at some point during the day. I don't know when exactly, but it's going to be a very explosive alignment, which could very well result in something awful, like a bomb or a war or something. And all of this is happening around the election because the time has arrived where we need to end the old matrix and birth the new millennium. It's time, Gail, isn't it?
Oh gosh, past time. Now there are a lot of people out there that are saying that they don't believe that the election will even be held. What do you think about that?
I would say that's possible that it won't be held.
Mhm.
If they have a war on Halloween night and their people are fighting in the streets, I don't know if that's going to come to pass, or if there's a bomb or something, people might be afraid to go to the polls and vote. And they can also expect that at some point we might see an overturning of the stolen, you know what,
Mhm.
ELECTION, or we know that Mr. T is really the president. Everybody knows that. And that might just put him back in, so we don't need to have an election. And then they would have to stage another election, to redo the rest of that, the November 8th election. So I'm not sure which is going to happen. I mean, we've had Mr. T crossing the country advocating for candidates that have a conscience and who are not practicing Satanists and who believe in the Constitution and who don't sexually traffic children. So he's working to bring those kind of people to power. So if the election happens, those are the people that are going to get elected, I believe. If it doesn't happen, that means that probably we're going to bring back Mr. T, and that there's going to be some kind of sweeping of all this darkness off the planet.
I can't wait for that to happen.
Mm-hmm. Do we
And
have questions? Do you have any questions from your people?
let me see if I have any questions out there that I may have missed any recently. Um, yeah, question. What? Okay. Question: Our election wasn't held up from the last one.
Right.
Will I be expecting anything different? That's what I don't understand. Why would you even? I mean, I don't
Yeah, they
mean
haven't
to
fixed
advocate not
anything.
voting, but I mean, my
Right.
goodness, there's such serious questions about these
Right.
machines and so on. I don't know why I would even want to vote
Well, that's
until
exactly
that is
right.
corrected and fixed. And
And that
they just
could be one reason we do not have an election. It could
yeah,
very well happen
they
that
just
way.
keep trying to sweep that under the carpet and hope everybody will forget about it and it'll just go away.
Well, my understanding is they already have 6 states that have decertified the election. That's all it takes. And that automatically puts Mr.
So
T
yeah,
back in office, and he would take office immediately.
yeah.
So whether or not that happens,
I'd like you to see that one.
I do. Thank you. Thank you, Julia. We don't know yet, but I wanted people to hear the astrological alignments. The other one is the crash of the economy. Just so you know, we're going to crash and burn, and then we're going to come back on the other side with a new system. I don't want anybody to be afraid of any of these developments. My work is all about waking people up, healing people of trauma, telling the truth. My book is like a hardcore truthathon here. Read this book if you want to wake up and if you want to heal yourself. And a lot of people tell me that it changed their life because they weren't awake until they read my book. And I wrote it because they were trying to kill me. And I thought, if I'm not going to live, I got to get everything down on paper. So it's a thick book with a ton of information. And right now the information I'm getting is that we're going to have an event. And in fact, um, I'm going to be on the next show right after Gail of Gaia. I'm on another show. It's going to be mine. And we're going to continue to talk about this. And one of the things we're going to talk about is the message that we got saying that this is the last Halloween. There will never be another Halloween, meaning that something's going to happen that night that's going to make us not want to ever celebrate Halloween again. And I'm guessing that that's some kind of warlike event, or maybe a bomb or something. I don't know. So
Wow.
the messages I keep getting are jiving with messages from all over. So I got a message also from my friend that I hadn't seen in over 5 years. She called me last night, and she's a gifted channel. And she told me that they told her that we're going to have a huge event that's going to shift reality to the ionic reality, the ionic nature of reality. And what that is, folks, is the divine flash. So that's the last thing that I want to share with everybody, is that I am a devotee of the Holy Mother Amachi, and she's been telling me for 22 years that we're going to have a divine flash that's going to wipe the evil off the face of the earth. All of this is going to happen simultaneously. I mean, boom, boom, boom in a row, you know. Well, I don't know which one is first, but I thought the economy would have crashed already because today is what, the
I
20th?
know. I was expecting it already too. And so somebody was wondering, is that what there are people that are talking about a scare event, you know?
Well, there's 2 scare events if you want. There's actually 3. Which one do you want? The crash of
All
the
3 of them. The snowballs.
crash of the economy, the war, or
Mhm.
the divine flash? I would say the
All
scariest
3.
of them all is World War III. And that's definitely going to happen. I don't know how long that war is. It's already started. United States troops are currently fighting Russian troops right now in
They're
Ukraine.
fighting Russian troops?
Yes. They're fighting for the Ukraine. And
That's
this is
insane.
a
That doesn't make sense.
yeah, this is our deep state troops that are,
Oh, okay.
there's 2 sets of troops. There's Mr. T's loyal patriotic troops, and then there's the mercenaries, the ones that are paid to serve their
Yeah.
masters that are dark. And so those are, I don't know who all those people are, but they're over there fighting with the Ukraine against the United States. I mean, against Russia. So that tells me that war has already begun. We're already in it. So
Mhm.
it could just be over there that it expands, but folks, you need to face the fact we got CCP on our back here. We got China at our back.
They're right south of the Texas border, I recently heard. Quite a
And
few of them. A lot of
well,
them.
I guess I haven't seen them, but oh, and you know what?
I think
Who had
that's
told me
where.
today? Um, Somebody from Texas, yeah, told me today that there were hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of Chinese men. I'm sorry, I'm not being racist here, folks. Nothing against
Yeah.
Chinese people, but landed in the airport of Houston or Dallas, one or the other, and they
Mhm.
were streaming off the airplanes in Texas today. And people in the airports were calling their family members and saying there's thousands of Chinese men here coming off all the airplanes. They also had a comms
Is this
happen,
an
which,
invasion?
oh, I think we're already invaded.
Invaded?
They're just, they're landing in the airports and nobody's questioning it. Oh, there just happens to be 10,000 Chinese men landing at once. And according to this observer, they were of fighting age and fitness. So they'd be like 25-year-olds, 20-year-olds. And so they all came at
Wonderful.
once into the airport today. What does that tell you? And that's not even talking about what's off the coast of California, what's above the border in Canada, and what's up in Alaska. So, our governor in California has made open border there, the entire coastline of California, and Governor Abbott's not having much luck holding back the illegal aliens that are coming in there. So, we're seeing a slow, quiet invasion that is not in the news, folks. So get ready for some kind of potential land war here in the USA, and let's hope that our team, fields a team. You know, let's get our team on the field, and
It's
I want all of you to wake up to see that the USA is under attack and has been for quite a while. We can't just sit around on the TV
it's
and
not
just
business as usual, people. It's time to wake up and it's time to
Mhm.
get ready because it's going to be happening very soon.
Well,
And
if it happens, oh, that's what I started to say. The comms, they tested them in Spain, Ukraine, Texas, somewhere else. And what that means is the GPS. They're testing the see whether or not they can shut down the radar. Well, some people think it's China, but it could also be the EBS. It could be that they're getting ready to release the EBS. And let's hope that's what that means, because that is the broadcast system that they've been testing for a year. And if it comes to that, we need to hear the truth. If it comes down to war, everybody needs to hear the whole story about what's going on, because you're going to be fighting in the streets in your neighborhood. And I'm hoping that none of this happens, you know. I'm hoping that our good guys come in and just stop this in its track. I'm hoping that somebody has made plans to stop this, but certainly not the fake president that's sitting there. He's just he sent all of our weapons to the Ukraine.
He needs to go. He needs to be gone.
He needs to take a long nap because he's not awake anyway. So we need to
Right.
put him to bed, bye-bye, and go to sleep, and just have some tea, and we don't need you anymore. And then
And
we
then
need
we're
to get some,
yeah,
we
and
need
then
to
we're gonna
get some.
have the whole issue of um who's next? Who's next in line?
They're all
Someone
going.
else.
They're all going to go.
They're all gonna go, yeah,
I
because
think
none of them, they're all the same, really. I mean, ugh.
not a one of them cares. They're all under the they've all been bought out by the CCP. Not a one. All these people, they've been there 30, 40 years. They need to go.
Right.
And
Okay.
I see the question. Yeah.
Okay.
I can't tell you all of my sources, but some of it is divine. Like some of the people that gave me the information received um, divine information from above. And when you have tapped into your higher self, you will also get divine information from above. It's available to anybody. So that's who I'm going to be on with in the next show, is a person who's going to she's going to share her divine information, which is what I'm saying. Now, as for the rest of the information, I've done my research. I listen to the military channels. I listen to Monkey Works. I listen to Natural News. I listen to quite a few others. And I have several insiders in the military who told me that this is going to happen.
Well, I have
Okay. All right. I love this. I love this. This person says,
that,
we
yes.
need World War III to take out evil places here. 107 said the Chinese are here to help us with the cabal. I don't know. Are they? I hope.
Yeah, we don't know. Yeah, I hope that's true. That would be wonderful if
Well,
it's
that's
true.
one of the 107. I don't know if he's telling the truth or not. But one of the things that I heard was that Li Jinping, the premier of China, is an undercover white hat.
Yes,
And that
I've
he's
heard
been
that too. I've read
trying
that.
to
Yes.
stop any invasion of the USA. So, but I can tell you right now that I listened to the video from the internal military tribunal in China that was translated by an undercover Chinese agent. And she said that they have been planning to invade the United States for 2.5, 3 years now. And that she leaked out this information and they found out it was leaked out. So they decided to speed it up and they're going to do it in November. That's what she said. This was 3 months ago. I heard this video. And this was actually a recording of the military talking about their plans in China to come in and invade in the United States. So which group is it? So are the Chinese here to help us, or are they here to invade? I don't know. Because they are planning to invade. So do we have white hat Chinese? I don't know. I don't know, folks. I know that I'm being given a lot of information, and it's very difficult to know which is true. And this is why I'm going to do a round table tonight after Gail's with somebody who's getting some spiritual information. And one of my other sources
Who is your
is
guest? Can we ask you who your guest is?
Victoria Reynolds.
Reynolds. Oh, okay, yeah. All right, good.
And Victoria has posted today that
Yeah,
she
I
was
saw.
given a report that
Mhm.
this is it, that Halloween's the day it's going to happen. So I don't know, folks. I'm telling you, I just think you should know. I think everybody should know. You can decide for yourself, what you think. 107's been saying it all along.
Yeah, he has.
And he's been saying all along that it would be a near-death experience. And we're in a Pluto return. So going back to Vedic astrology, or just astrology in general, we are in a Pluto return. That's a near-death experience. And he said it, that we would have a near-death experience. And here we are having a near-death experience. So, we're this close to losing America, where there's no more Constitution, no more Bill of Rights, but we can
And
still
yeah.
be back.
What's amazing is we still have people sleeping about the whole thing too. It just really is amazing to me.
It's amazing to me too.
Um,
And we don't have any more time left. So we, we,
exactly.
we have to trust that the Holy Spirit is in on this and is helping us. We have to trust that some of these, I would like to think that 107 is telling the truth. I don't know. I would, there's been some fake truthers. I really don't know.
Right.
I've never met him, so I don't know. But I would like to believe that he's telling the truth.
The Kool-Aid is strong.
It is. It really is strong.
It is.
Yeah, and just to back that statement up, former CIA director William Casey, what
Yes, I know.
he once said, when everything that the American people believe is false, we'll finally be able to completely control them. And it's been announced that everything is false. So none of us know exactly what's true, except, I can give you my personal experience, with the deprogramming, with the fact that, there's intelligence. I come from in a family with a long history of intelligence. They've been in the intelligence agencies, and they're liars, and they will do anything to destroy the truth. And they're not to be trusted, either of the alphabet agencies, any of them. I can tell you that for sure. And I can tell you for absolutely beyond a shadow of a doubt that there were 30 to 50 million young people mind controlled for the end times, for this scenario, in the 50s and 60s, who are now running the world. But we have a secret weapon. There's the star seeds that dropped in. I'm an angel undercover star seed that dropped into the dark, and I have my own end times programming from heaven. And the Holy Spirit asked me to break the matrix, to bust the system, and to tell the truth, and to deprogram humanity. And that's what I'm going to do. So I'm telling you all that I've heard. You can take it with a grain of salt. You can call me crazy. It doesn't really matter to me. This is what the Holy Spirit is asking me to share with you. And I'm going to bust the system. Oh, well, they took my channel down on I was
Yeah, there you go. They're afraid of you.
You can find me on Rumble, and you can, I have a Rumble channel, Salini. You can find me on my website. I have Twitch, and when I'm going to go live right after this with the next person, and I will be on Facebook. I'm still on Facebook, amazingly enough.
That is
Um,
amazing.
well, I was off. They took me down for 10 months last year. I don't know why I'm on now. It's
Mhm.
like, okay, I'm okay now. You like me now. So it's almost like I think Facebook's going to go bye-bye really soon, and probably right after that YouTube, because they're run by dark hats that are history. I don't even know if they're still there. So I'm going to go live on Facebook, Rumble, and Twitch as soon as I'm done with Gail here. So
Because you're live on those same channels right now as
yes,
well, so it'll be just coming right back up right afterwards. And because they took your channel down and so on, I will be more than happy to have you on,
thank you.
and so we can get the word out there, because we're all working together, just like with Victoria. I will probably have her on again sometime
We're
as
all
well.
working together.
Yes.
And, I'm giving you somebody asked me what are my sources. Some of them are real military, and other ones are divine information. And
Mhm.
the Holy Spirit has told me a long time ago that something big was coming that was going to change this planet. I think we've finally arrived at that point. The Holy Mother Amachi told me that before the end of 2022, we would have a divine flash. I think it's all going to happen, all this stuff. Whether or not it all happens in one day or 10 days or 3 months, I don't know. But get ready, folks. Strap on your seatbelts, buckle up, and get on your bucking bronco and get ready to ride.
Yeah, get ready to rock and roll, baby. You better have prepared.
Get on your cosmic surfboard and ride that cosmic truth wave into the fifth dimension, baby. That's where we're going. We're going
Exactly,
into
exactly.
5D. We're going to be okay. Anybody who listened and is freaked out beyond belief, you're going to be okay. We're absolutely going to, I've already been through the worst possible things anybody could go through.
Yes, exactly.
And I'm okay.
You
I'm
remember
awake. I'm
pretty badly
strong.
too.
And
Some
I
of the
love
things,
you. I'm
some
here
of
to
the
love
things.
you. We're going to do it, Gail, aren't we?
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. We never quit, never give up. And one of the ways that we can help change the frequency on the planet is by the way that we act and the things that we do. And if you don't mind, I will just play this little 3-minute video that it was put together, and then we'll
Do it.
close the show. Okay. Good morning. Helps you. The situation you are looking at is the eye of the storm, but the storm is upon us. It is critical for people to come together, to unite, to support and help each other. People's perceptions are being controlled by an outside force, creating a form of hypnosis and fear. Thoughts and emotions are being controlled by the mass media. This frequency barrier must be broken, and the perception must be changed. Our time is short. People are locked in a mind prison. We must help to set them free. The truth of this information is so important that a critical mass must be reached very soon. Your mission, should you decide to accept it, is to practice random acts of kindness, make a stranger smile, give a compliment, open a door, return a lost item, wave, smile, give a hug, check on a neighbor, donate food, take a dish to the elderly. By expanding the awareness from daily routines of people in the robotic and programmed mindset, they will change their perception and it will change their reality. The change in focus to I am all that is, has been, and ever can be, having a human experience. I am infinite consciousness. This creates an expansion in self-identity and raises the frequency, changes the realm from a mindset of limitation to unlimited potential. It will help to free the mind. People have been programmed to think small, be small, to acquiesce to authority rather than to question it. It is their duty to question it. They forgot. As more people expand their concept of self, this will help change their reality. What you do matters. Love and kindness are the only way to change things. It brings more of the same. Remember that. Don't ever forget that. Our heart has always known the truth. Open yours and expand your consciousness. Together, we can make a difference. We need to unify. As always, should you or any of your truth force be targeted or caught, the Secretary will disavow any knowledge of your actions. The truth force, of course, will be notified. This tape will self-destruct in 60 seconds. Good luck.
Yay. Wow. I love that.
Well, I hope it made people smile and to think about what they do. And because if everybody started, they would change people's lives. I mean, sometimes just smiling at somebody can make their day.
Well, I want you to come on my show and play that, because that's exactly that's what I'm all about. I'm not about scary intel. I'm about love and healing and transformation. And is that your cat in the video?
Is that what?
Your cat in the video? Because
No,
look at my
no,
cat.
it's not. Oh my God. Oh, it looks like the same cat.
Yes, it does.
I thought it was so hilarious, that because the cat was sitting there and the words that were said, and at the same time that the cat was sitting there, and the cat kind of looked like,
No. I thought it's my baby. It looks like him.
Yeah, it does.
So
Awesome.
I don't want anybody to be scared. I don't tell you to be scared. I tell you to wake up and to get ready, because right after that is going to be a beautiful new world. We're all going to be, there's going to be abundance, there's going to be opportunity, but there's going to be a lot of healing that has to be done. That's what I'm here for. That's what Gail's here for. Her message of kindness and compassion is absolutely 100% right on, because compassion is what I use to heal people. And if we can't get to the point where we love each other, we're fighting over this stupid thing in our arm. I mean, we need to love each other through this. We absolutely need to love ourselves back to unity. Unity is the answer to everything here, and truth, and supporting one another, through this. So I've enjoyed being on your show.
Have each other's back is what it
Yeah.
boils down to, and spread the love. And things are going to get a little wild and crazy, but the end result, you're gonna love it. The
Yeah,
best
just
yet
have
to come.
faith, you know.
Yeah.
God's not going to abandon us in our hour of need. This is a spiritual test that we're going through to test our faith and our spiritual power. Like, are we going to stay the course? Are we going to still believe? And when things get the darkest is when we are tested. So I'm ready. I'm ready for that test, and I'm ready to hold you through that test.
Here we go. Alrighty. Thank you so much. I will have you back on again. They are not going to take anybody down. We will just keep coming back one way or another. There's
Thank
always
you,
more than
Gail.
one way.
We
So
will.
you're very welcome. Thank you. Namaste in Lakesh, and I'll see you again soon.
You
Keep
will.
up the great and wonderful work. Bye
All
bye.
right. Love you guys out there.
Bye bye.
We'll stand. We'll stand. We will stand. Standing tall.